Hello, sir. My name is Aji. So now I wanna explain about the material from cross-cultural understanding. For meeting three, we talk about language and communication. So now I have a time to explain that what is the language and communication from the topic. Language and communication, cultural language, etymology of language. In Africa, the first archaeological remains of anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, have been dated to 130 years BP, and the development of behaviorally modern humans was apparently completed 1600 until 1400 years ago. As we shall come back to below, language could not develop until our ancestor had acquired certain anatomical features, while on the other hand, certain behavioral features are difficult to imagine in a society without language. Necessary anatomical features are what we call articulatory organs, that is, among other things, a mouth and throat of certain shape, a minimum brain size, while art is an important behavioral feature. Most people see language as a vehicle for the expression of thoughts that are already there independently of the words and grammatical structure that express them, as seems to be implied in such a model of the speech situation. But it has also been claimed that language contributes to shaping of thought, and that different languages do so in different ways. Referred to as Sapir-Whorf hypothesis or just Whorfianism. According to Sapir, language is a purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotion, and desire by means of voluntarily produced symbols. Furthermore, language as a part of culture and a part of human behavior, it is often held that the function of language to express thoughts and to communicate information. Language and culture are intertwined because language is an outcome or result of a culture as a whole and also a vehicle by which the other aspects of culture are shaped and communicate. The major function of language are: language is the primary vehicle of communication. Language reflects both the personality of the individual and the culture of his history. In turn, it helps shape both personality and culture. Language makes possible the growth and transmission of culture. The relationship between language and culture. It is obvious that language plays a paramount role in developing, elaborating, and transmitting culture, and language enabling us to store meanings and experience to facilitate communication. The function of language is so important in communication that is even exaggerated by some scholars. Each culture has its own peculiarities and throws special influence on the language system. For example, is referring to the same common domestic animal dog, a great deal of cross-cultural misunderstanding occurs when the meaning of words into language are assumed to be the same but actually reflect different. We can summarize the relationship between culture and language as the following. Language is a key component of culture. It is the primary medium for transmitting much of culture. Without language, culture will not be possible. Children learning their native language are learning their own culture. Learning a second language also involves learning a second culture to varying degrees. Language is influenced and shaped by culture. It reflects culture. Cultural differences are the most communication between cultures. As the tool of communication, language is the important tool. The function of the language is to communicate the culture in the groups of society. Through the language, the members can understand each other. There are two main ways of communication. There are verbal and nonverbal communication. Both of them had the same function to deliver the message. Moreover, communication is also as the tool of personal perception. It means that we will meet someone in the first time gathering information about that individual immediately. Not only does communication allow gathering information about personal and cultural identity, it also assists in collecting data about other people. The aims of gathering information of that individual serve the purposes. The first purpose is it can be enabling to learn about other person. The second is to make decision for selection of topic discussion. The information collected from both verbal and nonverbal messages. Moreover, we can identify the usage and function of communication, namely. The first, namely, is communication to make and identify. The second, communication to make personal perception. And the third, communication as the interpersonal needs. There are many elements such as patterns of group decision making, definition of insanity, preference for competition or cooperation, tolerance of physical pain, concept of self, concept of past and future, definition of obscenity, attitudes towards dependence, problem solving, roles in relation to age, sex, class, occupation, kinship, and more. Through this concept, we can understand that is the relationship between culture and communication. The concept portrays the elements of culture that gives impact of the communication way. For example, when the role of culture are shaped well in the communication way, the process of communication process smoothly. However, when the culture role doesn't communicate well, the process of the communication may break down. Verbal communication between culture in the processing of verbal communication. There are many aspects of verbal communication, namely source, encoding, messages, channel, receiver, decoding, and the feedback. Nonverbal between culture. There are many functions of nonverbal communication, namely expressing internal states, creating identity, substituting the words, repeating the message, regulating interaction. Furthermore, nonverbal communication gives the clue regarding how people negative the conversation. For example, is in the classroom, the student who raises the hand gives the sign that the student wants to ask for talk beside the common function of nonverbal communication. Can be used for refutation of the information. For example, when you want to give the direction to the stranger, commonly we can use your hand or your finger to explain the position. The usage of the hand or finger emphasizes and repeats the information so the interculture can understand well. Moreover, it can be used as substitute for words. For instance, in Indonesian culture, when you want to deny the invitation, you can use your head and shake it. The shaking of head is symbolized of rejection of invitation. Without speaking words, the interculture understand the message well. The types of nonverbal communication can categorize such as kinesthetic or body language, oculistic or commonly known as eye contact, proxemics or body distance, paralanguage, and the last haptic or touch. Thank you very much.